Hello, thanks for joining us to watch this recording of the webinar between Transforming Communities Together and FoodCycle, looking at ways that we can feed our Black Country communities sustainably.
Thank you for the introduction, James. My name is Jody, Regional Manager for the West Midlands FoodCycle. My colleague with me today, Pamela, is our Business Development Manager. Say hello, Pamela.
Hi.
Thank you. So thanks for everybody attending today. I've just thrown together a few slides just to explain a bit about FoodCycle, what we are, what we do, what we're looking for potentially, and we'll take it from there. I think I've sussed the tech out this morning, so everything should be fine. And any questions, if you can either put in the chat box or leave to the end, I will be happy, or my colleague will be happy to answer the questions. This is our introduction to FoodCycle. We like to nourish communities using our surplus food. So if we move on to slide 1. By the way, I'm not going to read all the information off these slides. I'm going to let you guys read for that yourself. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a few notes over the back of it. So FoodCycle has been operating since 2009. A single project started on the outskirts of London. Since then, the charity has expanded and grown into 30 projects throughout the country, throughout the UK. We've got a simple formula, simple recipe, the food pun there. So we take donated surplus food, we combine it with a generous portion of volunteers who are dedicated and give up their time. We throw in a community kitchen, and then we have what we call a FoodCycle project, where we provide free food to anyone. We're all welcome. Our meals are vegetarian so that we can capture everybody. We don't have to worry about offending people's different religions, different faiths. Everybody's welcome to our FoodCycle vegetarian meal. As we continue to grow, our charity has a vision, and our vision is to make food poverty and loneliness and food waste a thing of the past in every local community. How is FoodCycle sustainable? As I said, we use free food donated as surplus, volunteers who give up their time, and we use community kitchens. We've got some very generous corporate sponsors that obviously donate money to us. Each of our FoodCycle projects costs us roughly between £15,000 and £20,000 a year to run, which is why the community kitchens are so important to us, because a lot of our projects, the community kitchens are supplied to us for free, or if not free, it's literally just to cover the cost of gas, electric, and things like that. So by having free food, free volunteers, and as close to free kitchens as we can, that's how we are able to be sustainable. With some of our FoodCycle projects have been running for 10 years now. So this just proves that it's a sustainable model. So why is FoodCycle needed? Sadly, food poverty has always been a thing in our society. But the other thing that was highlighted through lockdown was loneliness, the effects of loneliness that it's been having on people. So the FoodCycle model of using surplus food, giving people nutritious food, and when we can, the communal dining element that brings communities together, and it gives people that chance to meet with people that they wouldn't normally meet in a safe, relaxed environment, chatting over food, and then relationships can be forged that way. During COVID, obviously, FoodCycle comes almost under hospitality. So hospitality was massively affected with the lockdown. So rather than rest on our laurels, FoodCycle decided to adapt and change. And we were doing a food parcel delivery service where we could, to look after some of our guests that would come to our meals week in, week out. So this happened all over the country, but the one that I was specifically involved with dealt with the postcode B29, B30, so on and so forth. Once the food parcel model come to an end and restrictions were lifted, we went about doing the takeaway model. So basically, we would cook food in these community kitchens, and then people could come and collect the meal, take the meal away with them. Again, all welcoming, all encompassing, and also they would get to take away a bag of the surplus food that doesn't get used for the cooking, so people can take that home, replicate the meals themselves. It's interesting that some of the most expensive parts of people's weekly shopping is the fresh fruit and the veggies, and we get that donated to us as surplus, so we hand it back out into the community. the difference that FoodCycle make. So without a doubt, we are impacting on people's lives in a positive manner. This is just a little bit of data that we receive when we do our guest outreach research, and we like to know ways that we can improve, differences that we can make, services that we can offer people. So we're constantly doing guest surveys, outreach, so we can understand what we need to do to change, to become better, and to make ourselves even more welcoming. Next slide. So FoodCycle in Walsall, as a charity, we're always keen to develop new projects in an area we feel we have the greatest impact. The West Midlands is a very big region, as I realised when it was outlined to me what the West Midlands regional manager role entails. And myself and Pamela are very keen to move into Walsall and the Black Country. We have actually got our first FoodCycle project, which should be kicking off in August at the Green Lane Baptist Church. So that's really exciting for us. And in some of these talks that we've had, we've been working alongside the Walsall Housing Group, who will be working with us in the future to try and see what project we can set up, which aims to their own corporate vision and values and whatnot. Next slide. So how can you guys get involved? Your connections and networks are really valuable to us. So I'm not Walsall-based, Pamela's not Walsall-based. You guys are on the front line. You guys are in the communities. You will be able to refer us guests. You'll be able to potentially tap into pools of volunteers that we probably won't know about. And also community kitchens, semi-professional kitchens, venues that could support a FoodCycle project. But as we transition to communal dining, we'd be more than keen and happy to know about these sorts of things as well. These are just a few little replies that we've got from some of our guest surveys, and just some stories and some sentences that some of our guests have given to us when we do our outreach. We'll just leave that for a little bit longer for you to have a read. And thankfully, for me, we're at the end. So I welcome any questions. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, and thank you for going through that with me.
I've just got a quick question just while everyone gets to think. Could you just talk us through, I know there's a number of groups from around the Black Country. So you specifically mentioned Walsall at first. Do you have plans to spread out of Walsall?
What we're doing, we've found that we've had such a welcome from Walsall and the wider Black Country, a lot of interest around Wolverhampton, that what we'd like to do is concentrate on this area, Black Country, Wolverhampton, for the next 12, 18 months, and then sort of go forward from there, because what we want is sustainable, supportable, long-term projects. We've got, I think it's 6 or 7 currently in Birmingham. We'll continue growing that as well. But alongside that, we really want to sort of tap into Walsall.
Thank you, Pamela. Alison has a question. Alison, do you want me to read that out, or do you want to unmute and ask it directly?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's just that we have a really good kitchen that used to be used, to provide meals. Somebody had a business from the church, but she's stopped now. And, since the pandemic, our congregation is really small, and I'm worried how we would afford to run this, but we've got great premises. So
in terms of money, it's it's all a negotiation. We would certainly have a budget to sort of contribute to sort of utilities and that sort of stuff. So we certainly wouldn't want anybody to lose money from a FoodCycle being there. There is a sort of a lid, and I'm a relatively fierce negotiator, but you can probably twist my arm a little on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm also a bit worried about all the plastic containers used for the cook and collect. I hate the thought of handing out plastic containers all the time, but
I know,
how you can get around that.
We struggle with that, but of course, when we're back to communal meals, we'll be back to sort of plates and good stuff, So that's just very much sort of an interim thing. So.
Yeah, thank you.
We have actually tried more environmentally friendly containers. We've tried the cardboard takeaway boxes, so on and so forth. But because a lot of our meals are batch cooked meals, so it's a lot of curries, a lot of stews, a lot of soups, they just don't last the journey for some people when they need to get home. So we do encourage people to wash, recycle, reuse. We don't take them back into our podges, obviously, but they're always great for at home for like small packed lunch tubs. Obviously, we all know what these are, how we use them. So we do encourage that as well at the handout, recycle, reuse.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jodie. Kath asks, can we come and visit one to see how things work? I know that's often so helpful to do, isn't it?
Yeah, we would welcome anybody to come and be a guest at our FoodCycle. You can come and have a meal when we're doing communal meals. Come along, take a meal, sit down, interact, meet the people, meet the volunteers, meet some of the people that come and have our food. Or if you're in a real urgency to come and see what we do, we have our cook and collect model where you can see the food that's being cooked and how people queue, obviously socially distanced, and the quality of the food that people get to take away with them. So, and you could sign up as a volunteer if you wanted to. You could come along, sign up as a volunteer, and you could get involved that way. So you're more than welcome.
It's wonderful, and we'll send out links, can't we, Jodie, about kind of where they all are if people want to go. Sue's got a question about the place that she's from, Central Hall Methodist. Sue, do you want to unmute and ask Jodie or Pamela about that?
Yeah, hi. We are just outside of Walsall town centre, kind of the opposite side to Green Lane. We've got a great, very underused kitchen facility. We already support a food bank. What we don't necessarily have are a lot of volunteers. We have an older congregation who would be very willing in spirit and would do what they could. But I'm just wondering how it works from a practical point of view. We would desperately like to expand on what we do and to make our premises more useful. And this sounds like a great way to do it. Last year, well, before pandemic, we started a very small scale families program to offer lunches. But we found because we weren't known, the take-up wasn't what we hoped. And because pandemic hit, we didn't have a chance to grow it. So we've got the seeds, but we might, you might be offering us all sorts of opportunities, if you see what I mean.
Well, bless your heart. I mean, in terms of volunteers, certainly we'd always welcome, local volunteers from sort of the church and so on. But we would also, we spread on it as wide as we need to. We've got a whole sort of team that sort of helps and supports in the recruitment of volunteers and so on. So we would sort of do our best. I mean, obviously as well, in terms of volunteers, it's sort of like we also add value, we hope, to a community by sort of training and supporting volunteers, and we do food safety level 2 and allergen training and everything. So it might be that the community, we can sort of draw them in with that gift, as well as sort of the altruism that it sort of speaks to. But yes, we can, don't worry too much about the volunteer side. And I saw a question from somebody about our geography. I mean, yes, Walsall and the wider Black Country and Wolverhampton, as we, all that area, we'd absolutely love to speak to people about.
I just thought we've also got a job club.
Oh, lovely.
Might be another avenue if people could access training that gives them employability skills later.
Absolutely. We've got a volunteer in Leeds. One of our Leeds volunteers, she's just got a job in a bakery on the strength of the experience and the training she's had with FoodCycle. So that might be something people are interested in. Yeah.
Great.
That's wonderful. It's definitely a case of partnership makes things easier, doesn't it? I think we all bring different pieces, whether it's our kitchen or our volunteers or our know-how, and then working together, we can help to solve some of these difficult problems. Alan sent a message. I'm not sure if it came up in the big chat or just to me. I think he's a little bit worried that I might be doing the cooking. So how does that work? Please reassure him that it's not going to be me.
It's our dedicated volunteers. I mean, we're famous. Well, we are famous for some of our recipes. If you have a look on our FoodCycle Birmingham page, it sounds really simple, but our cheese and potato pie, whenever we do that, it sells out really, really quickly. People just can't get enough of that. So we're having to increase the batch sizes of those. So, but you're more than welcome to come along and cook. You can give it a whirl.
I bet Alan's a dab hand in the kitchen, so we might be adding another hat to him. Amy's just asked a question, which I think you answered, Pamela, just about. She's based in Smethwick, and but I think we'd be definitely interested in anywhere within the Black Country or kind of next to the Black Country, wouldn't we?
Sorry, my internet cut out, I think, partly while you possibly answering that. But yeah, we're the other end of the Black Country, so but looking to restart. And we're a network of churches, so we've got different kitchens and various churches looking to restart their community meals. So it'd be great if we could chat further. That'd be really helpful.
Yes, please. Lovely. Thank you. Lovely.
Thank you.
And just picking up on something Jodie said, that expression of we sell out really quickly, just to reassure you, that's just an expression that all the food is completely free. We don't even accept donations. Just throwing that in.
Thank you, Pamela, for clarifying.
Great question from Jen on the chat from Black Country Food Bank. How do people get referred in? How will people get to know about you?
Social media presence, word of mouth, social prescribers. That's why it's so important about us attending these network meetings. So you guys in the community can get our name out there and let them know that people can turn up to this place at this time on this day and get a free meal. And then when we do communal dining, they'll be able to sit down to a 3-course meal, all completely free.
Great, that's lovely. If you just don't mind me jumping in for just a minute while you're answering my question, that's brilliant. So I think there's real opportunity for us to work together more closely, because obviously a lot of our clients would benefit from a FoodCycle project, and obviously we have 24 food banks across the Black Country, which should be really kind of critical, wouldn't they, to pass people on to. So I think it would be great if we could chat a bit more outside of this meeting, because there are other things as well, in that we have quite a lot of stock at the moment. We've been very honoured with donations, and we have lots of items of food so we do catering size packs of bags of rice and loads of different things that we would be more than happy to share, and we share with lots of other projects anyway. So I think it would be great if we could, potentially meet at our warehouse and just go through a few things, because we're looking at grab bags, we're going to be doing recipe cards, we're going to be doing grab bags, all things that could be incorporated at your premises, wherever that is, and vice versa. I think obviously there's a lot of common ground, isn't there? We're providing food just in a different way, but we do provide a lot more fresh food now in our food banks, and more choice, and all kinds of things that are changing as time goes by. So I think there's just a lot of things we could chat about, if that's okay.
Brilliant.
That would be amazing. We work closely with the B30 food bank, Trussell Trust Food Bank, and obviously they can't hand out the big 10-kilogram sizes of rice and the pastas and stuff. So they store it up for us like every 2 weeks, and we go out and collect it, and then we can take that to our community cooks. So we already do that in Birmingham, with some of our Trussell Trusts.
That sounds perfect, because we've got a van full of all kinds of huge bags of various things that we don't really know what we're going to do with. Right. So it could be a perfect time to partner.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's music to my ears, guys. I'll facilitate that introduction straight after this, so you've got each of those details. Thank you. Jill, you had a question about a bit more about the training. Do you want to unmute and ask that for us?
Yeah, I just ask because I was talking to someone from Wolverhampton yesterday, from Friends of Di's Kitchen in Wolverhampton, and she was asking me whether we'd had an assessment of our kitchen at the church, where I'm the parish nurse, from Environmental Health. And had we got food hygiene training and certificates? And I'm just wondering, does everybody go through food hygiene training and get certificates? And likewise, do you have your premises checked by Environmental Health?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So every time we set up a new FoodCycle project, it is registered with the EHO, because we want to make sure that we keep our 5-star reputation. So it kind of sets up like a little, almost like we're governed by the same rules as a restaurant, basically. So all the food safety, all the critical control points, all the training, all that HR side of things has to be the same standard and as the same level as you would get in a professional restaurant. The only difference is we don't charge for our food. So because we're a vegetarian organisation, the need for everybody to be food safety trained isn't a requirement. But what we do, we have project leaders, and the project leaders are the people that we invest time in food safety training, allergen training, safeguarding training. And then obviously the will of FoodCycle is that once it's up and running, the projects take the project leaders and the volunteers take ownership of that project, because I'm one person in the West Midlands, and for me to, if we grow to the strength that we want to grow to and the size, I'm not going to be able to be at every project. So it's about training and retaining these really strong, dedicated project leaders who are supported by some really dedicated volunteers, to ensure that when an EHO does turn up, we are making sure there's nothing on the premises with the use by date, and we are only using the best befores, and we are doing our regular temperature checks and stuff. So the investment goes into the project leaders. They're the ones that have all the accredited training, and then they become the people that the volunteers kind of look up to and hopefully engage with, and then they want to take on that extra responsibility themselves. So it just perpetuates, and you get new project leaders coming through all the time, and the projects literally run themselves. And I only get an email or a call when they need new can opener, or the broken plates, or they need something replacing. So that's the goal, that's the vision.
Okay, thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Jill. Great question. Great answer, Jodie. And Emily has put an interesting post in the chat. Emily, do you want to just tell us about that? And I think you were looking at ways that you might be able to partner in with FoodCycle.
Yeah, I think a couple of years ago now, we piloted this game called the Summer Holiday Kitchen, which we worked with our local schools and our families in the community to try and tackle holiday hunger during the school holidays. And obviously during COVID, this has obviously been magnified more. So we're looking at restarting it again, but because of all the restrictions and everything, we've actually now got a welfare van that goes out around different housing estates and delivers like loads of practical support. So we've got a school uniform swap shop on it, we've got a lending library on it, and lots of things so that we can go to people. And then the idea is we build relationships with them, and then when we're able to reopen and start our community meals again, we'll then be able to bring them back into the building. But for those that can't get to us, we can still take our modified transit van out to be able to distribute food parcels and packages and meals and things to them. So yeah, I think it'd be great if we could have a conversation to see if we could do something together and work together with it.
That sounds amazing, Emily. Well, whereabouts are you based?
So I'm based in Fallings Park in Wolverhampton. I also cover 4 other Methodist churches. So I cover Bilston Methodist Church as well, and Wentzfield as well. So I cover different churches across the Black Country, really. Wow,
a very busy lady. Thank you. Sarah, you had a question as well. I'm so sorry, I haven't quite managed to read it all, but do you want to put that now? Thank you, Emily.
Yes, hello, morning everybody. So just to let everybody know, each local authority, you may know this or not, has received some funding from the Department of Education to deliver a holiday and food activity provision over, well, it was a week in Easter, 4 weeks over the summer, and a week at Christmas. So I just really encourage you that if you know of any families who have children who are on free school meals, to get in contact with their local authority to find out what activities are taking place. With Walsall, obviously that's where that I work and involved in this project, we've got a really amazing project and activities taking place with over 60 providers who will be doing face-to-face provision. So, and as I say, those children and people can access at least 4 weeks of free activities. They'll have a free meal when they are there, and over weekend we will be providing them with a weekend box. And they'll be able to cook these meals, vegetarian meals, with their families. And we did something similar over Easter, and it was just the feedback we received was really positive. So to say, every local authority will be delivering something. So yeah, really encourage you to promote that if you can with your families that you're working with.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, Sarah.
A little bit of a mini plug there, but I think, you know, it's all around food and making sure that our, you know, children and young people don't go hungry over the holidays. So it's just an extra service that's being provided.
That's wonderful. Sarah, would you be able to send me information about that, and I'll make sure that everybody gets that after this event, if that's okay?
Yeah, that's fine. All eligible children in Walsall will have received a postcard this week, and it shows how they can register their interest and how they can then book on. But every local authority is different in how they're promoting it. But yeah, I'll send you some information. That's fine.
Oh, that's lovely. I've got a quick question for all of you. It's a two-part question. So it's great to hear about all the different work that's happening around tackling food insecurity. I just wondered, is there a forum that anybody's aware, or a network that brings people together who are involved in kind of food provision? And I'm just wondering if that's a little bit of a gap that we might be able to start to address together today. And somebody's just sent me a private message which fits in really well with that, as to, is there a central site which shows what is available across the area? Jen, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, so there definitely is in Dudley, because we have a group called the Dudley Cluster Connect, and that is a website that provides information on all the services in Dudley, but it started off with the main food provision agencies or charities, and so I'm part of that, and on there are the details of so soup kitchens or holiday clubs. So like the other lady was saying about Walsall having that funding, that's happening in Dudley as well. So there is a lot of money put aside for school children over the summer holidays and half term. So information about how the children access that food provision is on that website. And so they're starting to do other Cluster Connect groups within Dudley. This was Dudley Central, so they're starting one in Halesowen, and that's how they're trying to get the message out to everybody of how you can access food provision in lots of different ways, because we all do different things at different times and in different ways, and it's all great, but it's hard for the person to find out how to access that. It's great having all these forums, but if people don't know how to get it, then that's where things often fall down. That's what we're finding anyway, in the communication. So that's happening in Dudley. I don't know about anywhere else.
Fantastic, thanks, Jen. Ray's just sent me a message to say that somebody from City of Wolverhampton Council has been coordinating something similar in Wolverhampton, apparently. So thanks for that, Ray. That's really helpful. I know the lady involved there, so I'll drop her an email on that. And Amy sent it in Sandwell. There are some networking meetings as well. Would you be able to send me the details of those, Amy, and I'll try and put those all together. Does anybody know, Sarah, do you know of anything happening in Walsall around that? And it just seems to be a bit of a gap in Walsall about that. Or do you know, Alan?
No, in Walsall, we are going to be doing a bit of mapping just to get a better understanding of what is being provided, because we've got quite a lot of food providers delivering, especially during COVID. We found that there's a lot of providers delivering food parcels to families, and there was quite a lot of duplication. So we are looking at doing some mapping to find out a bit more about how residents are referred into those projects, or then where those residents then go after if there is needed some ongoing support. So we are starting it, but it's not as far progressed as some of maybe the other areas.
No problem, sir. I think there'd probably be a few of us quite keen to be involved in that if you need some extra pairs of hands on that.
Yep, no, thank you. I wrote that down. Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Can I also make a comment about Walsall? Lovely to meet you, Sarah. I work for Steps to Work, and we're based in Walsall, but we support participants with multiple programmes across the Black Country. We deal mostly with employability support, But we work with about 20 partner organisations who are working with our participants. We're working quite heavily with One Walsall at the moment, who are connected to the VCS groups. So one suggestion is that once you doing a presentation like this, and we'd be more than happy to facilitate it to our partner organisations so that you knew you were reaching the participants and the local people that they're in contact with. And I'm sure One Walsall would be happy to do the same. It's very much like a spider's web, isn't it? It's all about amplifying the message. And as I said, both organisations are in touch with lots of partners who would definitely have people in need. And also in terms of our programme, we also have potentially a lot of participants who could be suitable volunteers on programmes as well.
Wow, that sounds great, Jules. Thanks ever so much. Jules, do you have any public details that you could just share in the chat, and that we could send around just to help to facilitate that, or if not, if you want to send, just thinking how we can capture that. I think.
Well, I tell you what I'll do is I'll put my email address, and then if you just want to make contact afterwards, and then we can have a separate conversation offline, definitely. But we'd be more than happy to support. It's a fantastic initiative.
Wonderful. I think I've just been so impressed just with just in this short period of time, how many links have been formed, how the willingness of people to work together and share food and share information, and so I hope that this will be the start of many good things, really. Does anybody else have a question? Well, we've got Jodie and Pamela with us. Just huge thanks to Jodie and Pamela for all their hard work. What I'll do is we'll send out their contact details again. So if you're interested in finding out more and exploring this food cycle idea, I think it's brilliant, because I think it really complements our existing emergency provision that we've got, and is just the next step to helping things to be more sustainable for people who are struggling on low incomes. And I just love that kind of idea of community, of coming together around food, and of being able to share together, and then people being upskilled to learn about it, and kind of the environmental impacts of cutting food waste. So I'm really excited about this model. I hope that you guys are too. Huge thanks for giving up part of your morning to be with us today. If you've got any questions, do email them through. I'll email you either later on today or tomorrow with a copy of the PowerPoint, and anybody who wanted to share their contact details publicly, and let's keep chatting about food resilience and how we can work together across the Black Country to help to support some of our people and families who are most in need. And just a huge thank you on behalf of myself and all at Transforming Communities Together for all that you do to support your communities. And it's been vital, the work that you've been doing during the pandemic and even before that. And so huge thank you from us. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's keep networking. Let's keep sharing. And together we'll continue to make a huge difference in people's lives. So thank you so much, and we shall hopefully see you again soon. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.